Today I want to talk about today I want to talk about two topics that are actually quite important to me right now. The idea for these two topics came exactly about 2 seconds ago, but I think they are actually two very good topics. And the first topic is do what someone successful would do. No, it's even do what the most successful version of you would do. It is the most important thing in your life. That's number one. And oh my fucking god, I actually already almost forgot number two. And then number two is I think it was an idea on how to integrate synthesizers properly into my life. Let's talk about synthesizers first. I don't think that was the actual idea I had. I mean, holy shit. My focus and attention is really, really bad still. Anyways, so the idea with synthesizer is that or a good way that I can integrate synthesizers into my life, or synthesizer school really, is to do all the things that I tell other people to do myself. Now, I feel like the meta in the community is very pushy on writing lots of comments and making lots of connections with people, which is understandable because, I mean, it is basically really just a way to generate leads. And I mean, it is a system that seems to work pretty well. It is a system that I'm already somewhat engaged into, so I'd better just go with it, especially looking where I are right now in my life. But still, I don't want to do these things simply to push for results. First of all, because there's a significant risk that I won't get any results anytime soon. And so just doing stuff for results is gonna lead to even more depression than I have right now. And so I have to do these things because they improve my life. And so really I want to do things in synthesizer school that improve my life first, and then also have the chance to have a chance to help others as well. And the thing is, I mean, I personally have applied basically zero of the knowledge that I have consumed over the last 7 or 8, is it 7 or is it 8 years? Let me think. It is basically 8 years at this point. So I have applied basically 0% of the knowledge that I have consumed online over the last 8 years, or at least I haven't properly implemented any of that knowledge into my life. And so the likelihood that people are going to implement my random comments on an online community into their life and is gonna be pretty low. And so if they don't implement these comments, then the value generated from those comments for other people is basically also close to zero. Now, you could make comments that just share good vibes and provide value that way, but it doesn't feel authentic to who I am, And also it doesn't help me with the strategy that I will explain in a second. The strategy is, or let's put this differently, I want to apply all the things that I tell other people to do myself. So for example, when a comment that I wrote yesterday was about analyzing your life in terms of different areas of your life and then looking at the area that is the biggest bottleneck to your success right now, and then working with full focus only on that area. The 5 areas that I generally tend to look at, or that I used to look at, because right now my mental frameworks are in a bit of a intermediate transitionary state. Anyways, my 5 main areas of life are finances, relationships, health, then spirituality, and then helping other people. I'll be honest, those are the 5 areas of my life that I wrote in the post on Synthesizer School, because they sell well, I think, or they are better to like show publicly. But the way I really think about this right now is, and again, it's not really how I think about it right now. I will have to figure that out. Maybe I can figure it out over the course of this video. But the way that I used to think about this was essentially finances, relationships, health. I mean, those are really the big 3 that I think that always apply. Like, they are really pretty solid life areas you can look on, and you can also just look at those 3 areas and ask yourself, what is the bottleneck amongst them? And then only work or focus all of your effort on that area. And then what I also had was writing, because eventually in my life I want to write great fantasy novels. And then it was I can study, which is essentially like just learning techniques. Because I feel like having the skill, or not even because I want to do things that compound until I die. That's actually, maybe that's a good channel description. I won't fucking lie. Something like, I do things that compound until I die. That's a good sentence. Or maybe documenting my journey of doing things that compound until I die. Or maybe a question. What happens when I do things that compound until I die? Yeah, as you can see, I'm very focused in my thoughts again right now. No distractions whatsoever. Anyways, what was I talking about? Yeah, Synthesizer School and applying the things that I tell other people to do in my own life. And so, this is an interesting thought. I think it's actually a thought I can share on Synthesizer School. The advice you tend to give other people, or the advice you give other people, tends to be the advice that you need yourself. And so the advice that I give other people on Synthesizer School, hopefully, this is like the secondary purpose of writing those comments, hopefully helps these people as well. But the primary purpose is that by writing these comments, I gain clarity on what I myself should do. I'm really just giving advice to myself. And so, yeah, essentially I can then use Synthesizer School and the comments that I write as a reason or as a source of inspiration for actions that I can take in my own life. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good idea that I have here. I'm actually quite amazed. This is the first good idea I've had like in months, it feels like. So how can I properly implement this into a system? And the question is also, should I even implement it into a system? And I'm not so sure about that. Let's talk about systems for a moment. The main system that I'm using, or that I have tried to use to improve my life, and that I still have the urge to use to improve my life, is taking notes in my notebooks and then basically generating what I call generating achievements from those goals, and which is basically, achievements are really just actions to take from those notes. So generating actions to take from those notes, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And so what I would like to do with synthesizers then would be to maybe start a new notebook and put all the things that I write myself, all the comments that I've been writing into that notebook, and then, take action on them. I'm not sure if that is a good idea. It would slow things down considerably, make no mistake, and I'm unfortunately now, for the first time in my life, in a situation where I actually don't have that much time. Holy shit. So yeah, I don't really know how I will properly implement these things into my life. So that's what I'm going to try to do for the rest of this video, is I will try to think about how to build a proper framework of thought for my life. Also, a goal that I have, which will take a bit of effort from my side and therefore way too long probably, but maybe I can get it done sometime, is I want to make these videos with like me having with a camera on my head, and then most of the video being me taking notes on preferably on my tablet, or maybe very bad notes on my MacBook, or maybe better notes on my MacBook with like a writing pad attached to it. But I'm not sure if I really want to buy a fucking writing pad for the Mac. Yeah, so I will have to see how I do this, but I definitely want to make videos where I can visualize what I talk about, because I don't know if anyone, I feel like I'm more of I'm not a very visual person, but the way that I think about things is like literally in like frameworks, like it's like basically I think in mind maps on a page, and I don't have the feeling that I can get my thoughts across pretty well by simply talking about them. Or put differently, I feel like I can bring my thoughts across way more effectively if I just jot them down on a notepad or something like that. And so I will definitely try to do this. And also, I might just be making videos on my tablet where it's just my voice and then my notes, and then I think I will try to figure out a way to add my face into the videos. Not that I think that my face would add that much value or aesthetic to the videos, but anyways. And yeah, I think that is a good way forward to actually improve these videos, and actually a considerable step to maybe actually provide some value to at least a single person out there with these videos that I make. Okay, now on to talking about how a framework to conceptualize my life in. And this comes back to the first topic that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, which is do what someone successful would do. And oh yeah, another thought that is actually quite interesting, doesn't have anything to do with the goddamn mental framework, but anyways, is that I have been far away for the last 8 years since I've thought of this concept of do what someone successful would do. I have been far away from actually doing what someone successful would do. So I haven't followed this concept at all. And I also just thought about, oh my god, this is fucking uncomfortable to talk about, but fuck it. This is so uncomfortable. I've had a crush on a girl in school for years, and it took me quite literally 8 years to tell her that I had a crush on her, and that's the only time I have not talked to a girl, but like told a girl that I had a crush on her. And this is a quite universal pattern in my life where the gap between me having an, let's call it, urge to do something, or me thinking about, let's call it me, where the gap between me realizing that I should do something and me actually acting on it is ridiculously wide. Like with talking to that girl, it was 8 fucking years. And another thing where I have seen this pattern in my life is with, let's just call it money, because, whoa, holy shit, even when I was, I think it even was when I was in kindergarten, but definitely very fucking early on in school. I think even before I went to school, and definitely while I went to like first class or something like that. But like, even during kindergarten, I was wishing, like I was lying in bed some nights, wishing to somehow by a blessing from God that my mind was transferred into a different body so that I would have rich parents, so that because they had money, and the only reason, I don't know if this was in kindergarten, like the way I explain it now doesn't make a lot of sense with kindergarten, but let's say it probably was around first class. And I mean, something else that I already realized incredibly early on is like I never followed through on. I mean, it's not, and this is like, it's like okay, because like I didn't know what action to take on this realization, but still there's like, I also didn't take any action on the realization, which is also like an issue. So again, there's this gap between having a realization in my thoughts and actually taking action on it. And even before my first day of school, I did not want to go to school. And people said like, oh yeah, you go to school because you learn great things. It's like, yeah, I saw the use in like learning to read, write, and do maths. But I already had I couldn't properly explain it, but I already had the intuition that school is not made with your best interest in mind. Because it's like, if school was there only for you to learn reading and writing, then the teacher would help you to learn to read and write. And that would basically be his only task. But that is not what happens in school. And it's like, you can make an argument that, okay, let's try to bring this into a proper order of thinking for once. In school, you are forced to do homework assignments, and you get punished if you don't do these assignments. And if your homework was actually helpful to you learning a useful skill, then you would not need to be punished artificially by the school system, because you would be punished sooner or later automatically because you would be worse at the skill. That is basically the entire argument. But you do get punished for not doing your homework. And I mean, I even know, like, and this is like with all those oh so important days in your life, if you like follow the standard life path, I mean, which I did, it's like, it was my first day in school and I was there for like 2 hours. It was fine, whatever. But then we had the homework assignment for the next fucking day to, I don't know, draw a fucking picture of something, or I don't know. Now, I did not want to draw that fucking picture, and I would make the argument that drawing that fucking picture did not help me with any useful skill. Like the main reason, I mean, let's be honest, the main reason to go to school is to, and this is a simplified argument, but I think it's still true. The main reason why you go to school is to learn to read and write. And, or let's say, I don't know if this is a proper argument, because these are literally the thoughts that I had in first class on my first day in school. But so the thoughts that I had in my first day at school was like, I'm there in order to learn to read and write. My first homework assignment was to fucking draw a picture of myself. This did not help me to read and write, and it was completely useless for me, and I still had to do it. And that's why I already like thought like, oh shit, school sucks. And then, because it was like my first day in school, there was like a huge party thrown for me, and we were going to a restaurant with like mostly like my extended family. Everyone was there. And these people were eating, partying, and having fun. And I had to take out my fucking school stuff. I don't know, like my fucking school, like my pencils and stuff from school, and paint this fucking picture, which I absolutely had no intention, that I absolutely did not want to paint. And I had to do this, like everyone was pretending like, oh, it was this great day for me, and oh, it's like a party just in my name. But if it really was a party in my fucking name, why was I the only one drawing pictures of myself that I did not want to draw? And I mean, those were the thoughts, the subconscious thoughts. Like I didn't, like those were the thoughts I had about this day. And this is probably fucking therapeutic for myself right now, because I don't remember speaking about this out loud at all, ever in my life. And I mean, those are pretty much, as you can arguably tell from me getting somewhat emotional as I do get. This is still how I think about this right now. And so what I was trying to talk about was that already, and I already was, had a negative attitude, not a negative attitude, because I was always quite good at school, and I was like, did the things that I was supposed to do, which is arguably, like, certainly because of my personality, because I'm pretty fucking agreeable. I mean, this is arguably one of the main reasons why I also have this huge gap between thought and action. But being agreeable. But already before I started to go to school, I did not want to go there. And I already had the feeling, as I already said, that I was not being sent there in my best interest. It was not in my best interest to go there. And so I never took any action on that realization. Which is like, okay, at fucking 5 years old, when going to school and thinking like, oh, it's not so cool here, and not taking any action, that's fine. But then the next story is, so I lay in bed and was like thinking, this was also probably some time when I was in school, wishing that I could, that my mind could be transferred into the body of a different person. It didn't even have to be a child. It would have been, for me at the time, it would have been fine if it was an adult. Which I would make that trade. I would definitely make the trade of it. I wouldn't make the trade right now. Like, I wouldn't trade years of my life for this. But anyways, that's a different thing. That's a different story. Let's try to actually tell the story in a coherent way. So I asked God, and my family don't believe in any God at all. I asked God to transfer my mind into the body of a different child with rich parents, or just into the body of a rich person. Could be an adult, I didn't give a fuck. Like a somewhat young adult, but still just a rich person, so that I could do what I want to do each day, and so that I did not have to go to school. Because I understood very early on that really the main reason why, and this is arguably also why I complied with school so much, I understood very early on also that, like, the reason that I go to school is so that I learn stuff. I mean, basically, it's like the reason I got to school was so that I could then go to a good university, and the reason that I would go to university would be so that I would be able to get a job. The reason that I would get a job would be to earn money, and the reason why I would have to earn money with so that I can afford a home and not starve to death on the streets. Like, that's literally, and this was also my thought process very, very early on. And it was like, yeah, and that's all, and it's also arguably the reason, part of the reason why I like complied with the school system so much and was not like very uncompliant like maybe many other kids would be if they don't see the purpose of school. It's like I saw the purpose of school because it's like you go there in order to be able to get a job so you don't starve to death on the streets. But it is like people kept telling me that like when I was in kindergarten and I would say, oh, I don't want to go to school, people would tell me, oh, you go to school in order to learn things, like it's just good for you. And I like already understood very early on, like, no, that is not the reason you go to school. Like, the school is not an institution that exists for your ultimate well-being, or like that ultimately has your best interest in mind. It is a institution that you kind of actively have to go to in order to get a job, in order to not starve to death on the streets. And okay, I mean, this is already didn't lead to any big conclusion, but it's like 8 years ago I realized that I could actually, that there was a different way to make money other than just having a normal job, and that I could make money, way more money than I ever dreamed of, way earlier than I ever dreamed of. But still I haven't taken any action on that. I mean, basically until I posted my first YouTube video. And then it's like, wait, there have been more effective action taken towards goals than me posting that first fucking video. But anyways, but still it's like another 8 years between me having a pretty clear idea of what I can do in order to make money, which has been the biggest problem subconsciously on my mind for basically as long as I can think. And yeah, and I still haven't done it. And it's like, and so those are like the two big examples of just massive, massive gaps between me knowing to do something and me actually doing it. Like, this is by far the fucking biggest problem in my life, I believe. Then the question is like, because basically at the end of 8th class was when I first realized that I could like, that there's a way to, let's say, just get to financial freedom, doing things I love, essentially. And I wonder if even before that I could have done things in order to try to make money. It's like, maybe I could have at least chased the dream of becoming a professional athlete. That's something I could have done. So, but yeah, I mean, this is a hard push. Really, like, telling that one girl that I have a crush on her, and working or taking steps in order to make money and not end in the situation that I have ended up in right now. Those are really the two big examples of just this massive gap between thought and action. That is arguably the single greatest reason why, arguably why my life sucks so much.